Hey guys, we're going to be taking a look at the iPhone 5 years ago compared to how the iPhone looks now in 2017. At the rate that technology advances these days, a lot has changed over the course of 5 years. Let's get into it. In September 2013, the iPhone 5S was announced. In terms of size, the iPhone 5S was the last generation of iPhones that didn't feature a plus-size version. Its screen only measures 4 inches, which is puny by today's standards. Now in 2017, the iPhone 8 Plus offers a whopping 5.5 inches of screen real estate. With this increase in size, the lock phone button, which is located on the top of the iPhone 5S, was moved to the side in future generations of the iPhone. Both phones still feature a LED backlit IPS LCD display, although the iPhone 8 Plus now has a wider color gamut, giving richer colors and is now also a true tone display. This means the white point of the screen is adjusted depending on the lighting conditions that you're currently in an attempt to give you the best viewing experience when using the phone. While the iPhone 5S's screen is made with Corning Gorilla Glass, the new iPhone 8 Plus is said to be made with glass produced by Corning that Apple have worked directly with to produce a screen that is stronger than Gorilla Glass. Since a friend has lent us his new iPhone 8 Plus for this video, we unfortunately won't be able to do a drop test to see if this claim is true. The iPhone 8 Plus is IP67 certified, meaning the phone is water resistant for a depth of up to 1 meter and for a time span of 30 minutes. The iPhone 5S has no water resistant certification, meaning it's pretty much game over if you drop this in the tub. A couple of other differences to mention include the headphone jack, yeah, remember those? Or the lack thereof on the new iPhone 8 Plus compared to the 5S. Also, stereo speakers can now be found on the 8 Plus, whereas the iPhone 5S only had a mono speaker. Although the same size and dimensions as the iPhone 5 before it, the iPhone 5S came with the A7 chip, which was said to be twice as fast as the chip before it, the A6. Skip ahead 5 years, and now the iPhone 8 has the latest chip from the Apple, the A11 Bionic. The Geekbench score for the A7 chip on the iPhone 5S was 1,267. And now the A11 on the iPhone 8 Plus has a score of 4,184. That's almost 3.5 times the performance of the old A7 chip. Benchmarks only say so much though. In reality, if you're just using your phone to go on Instagram, chat with friends on Facebook, this increase in processing power won't be noticeable. This big leap in processing power, however, has allowed features such as augmented reality to become a reality on a consumer-friendly device like a smartphone. Let's go over the RAM. The iPhone 5S only has 1 GB of RAM, while the iPhone 8 Plus is rocking 3 GB of RAM. This isn't too surprising because as more and more features are crammed into each new release of the iPhone, more memory helps keep everything running smoothly, especially when multitasking. On the topic of memory, the iPhone 5S offered 16GB, 32GB, or at most 64GB of storage. The iPhone 8 Plus starts off with 64GB of storage and the option for 256. Although the price gap between the 64 and 256GB of storage has been reduced compared to the iPhone 7, it would have been nice to see that 128GB option for those who won't ever need anything close to 200GB of storage on their smartphone. The iPhone 5S was the first to bring a lot of features that we find common nowadays in newer iPhones. The 5S was the first to offer a gold colorway as well as a space gray option. While the gold color has shifted between an actual gold to almost a pink and some shades in between the two, the iPhone 8 Plus does now come in a pale gold. Another feature to debut on the iPhone 5S was Touch ID. Now standard on almost all of Apple's new devices, iPhone 10. The Touch ID became a secure yet convenient way to unlock your iPhone, and the iPhone 8 Plus continues on with this feature. The iPhone 10 has moved on to the next step in biometrics with Face ID. While Touch ID has a 1 in 50,000 chance that someone else's fingerprint would unlock your phone, with Face ID, this is now decreased to 1 in 1 million. Now guys, do you remember when iOS looked like this? Yeah, me neither. Well, iOS 7 that launched 5 years ago was the first iOS to feature the flat design style that we're all familiar with nowadays. Visually, the latest iteration for the iPhone 8 Plus, iOS 11, still follows this flat design principle, though there have been some subtle changes. There are too many features that iOS 7 brought to the table to cover them all. However, two that I'd like to touch upon are AirDrop and the redesigned multitasking window. AirDrop allowed users to share files wirelessly at a time where Samsung still relied on their phones to touch one another for files to be shared. Now this feature works with most Apple devices, allowing you to send photos from your phone to your MacBook or vice versa with a tap of a button. Multitasking on previous iPhones used to require users to hold down the app button and hit the X to close an app. iOS 7 streamlined this feature so that users can simply swipe up to close apps they're no longer using and could close up to 2 apps at a time. The camera on these two phones are vastly different, but let's talk about what's similar first. The iPhone 5S was the first to introduce True Tone Flash, which adjusts the intensity and temperature of the two flash LEDs to help properly light up a photo when taken. The iPhone 8 Plus now features 4 LEDs for its True Tone Flash. HDR is now the default option when shooting photos on the 8 Plus, whereas it was only an option on the 5S. The iPhone 5S was the first to introduce slow motion capture on its camera, capturing video at 720p at 120 fps. Now on the 8 Plus, slow motion is able to capture video at 1080p at a crazy 240 fps. This allows you to capture a better looking video with more frames to give you a smoother result when played back. Here's where things deviate quickly. The 8 Plus now has a dual camera system on the back, both being 12 megapixels. One is a wide-angle lens while the other is a telephoto lens. The 5S simply has a single 8 megapixel camera. To compare the 5S to the 8 Plus's camera is almost unfair. But we can see that the details here appear a lot sharper and colors appear more saturated when taken with the iPhone 8 Plus. A feature that is new to iPhones is portrait lighting. This is in addition to portrait mode, first introduced in the iPhone 7 Plus, where the background would be blurred in contrast to the subject of the photo being in perfect focus. Portrait lighting applies lighting effects to the subject to imitate different lighting conditions such as stage lighting, studio lighting, and contour lighting. For those who love capturing moments in video to rewatch again, the iPhone 8 Plus is able to capture 4K video at 60 fps, while the iPhone 5S is only able to capture 1080p at 60 fps. All these new updates are great, but they would be useless if they didn't have a powerful battery to keep it running. The iPhone 5S has a 1560 mAh battery, while the 8 Plus has a 2675 mAh battery. Battery life is going to depend on how much and how you use your phone, so we won't go too much into this, but you can generally expect modern smartphones to last you the whole day with moderate use. The new iPhone 8 Plus still uses the common lithium-ion battery, just like the iPhone 5S, so battery deterioration will occur over time with more and more charges. Two innovations that the iPhone 8 Plus does now offer is wireless charging and wired fast charge. Wireless charging is made possible with Qi charging pads and is set to charge as fast as being plugged in. While wireless charging being introduced on iPhones will definitely help wireless charging become more popular, you still might want to hold out for a bit if it's your only reason to buy the phone. Wireless charging is still largely in development, so there are a lot of limitations on this feature. A lot of wireless charging pads require you to place your phone perfectly aligned to maximize charging efficiency, so this technology is far from perfect in its current state. So on top of regular wired charging and wireless charging, the 8 Plus is now also able to make use of Apple's fast chargers. This doesn't come included with the phone, so you have to buy it separately, but enables the phone to charge through USB-C, giving you a 50% charge in just 30 minutes. Well, that about sums it up, guys. We hope that this comparison has given you a good idea of how far the iPhone has come in the last 5 years. iPhones have followed the smartphone trend of having a bigger and better display. And even though we have more and more glass on the phone, we definitely see the build quality get better as well, with features like being water resistant. Processing power has increased as well, allowing us to have things like augmented reality and also just letting us have more apps open while still providing a great fluid experience. With the new camera of the iPhone 8 Plus being able to shoot up to 4K video, obviously storage had to increase as well to hold these larger files. We do see an increase in battery size, though with bigger screens and more intensive apps, this doesn't necessarily result in a phone that lasts much longer than the iPhones before it. While a lot of these new features found in the iPhone 8 Plus have been seen in a variety of other phones, Apple consistently delivers a sense of polish and refinement to its products that Apple users have come to know and love. We're excited to see which direction the iPhone goes in the next 5 years. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts are on the new iPhones, whether it's the 8, 8 Plus, or the iPhone 10. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check out our other videos at the Aurorian Tech YouTube channel. Ferrari,